Cheech and Chong take Puss.
Hello and welcome to Al Pacino's Prison Scene. This is our podcast. I am Cheech, that is Chong.
And
this is our podcast where we talk about movies that don't really have any meaning. And this is Shrektober, the final episode of Shrektober. So as you can tell, those of you that are on the YouTubes, hi, how you doing? For those of you that are listening to us as you normally do this week, it's very special. There's going to be a link in the description if I remember to put it there. It will take you to the video version of this episode.
where we are dressed up as Cheech and Chong.
Because it is Halloween. Happy Halloween. Everyone that is watching this on Halloween. Everyone that isn't, you suck.
Can we say Shrekoween? Does that work? Or Shrektoween? Ogreween? Ogreween?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. Ogreween.
It's Ogreween, baby. So send us all your Ogreween Halloween photos. But if you don't have the hashtag Shrektober, we won't. Or we tweet them. But as we said, I'm Cheech, that is Chong, and this week we are taking Puss. And by that we mean we're going to be discussing the film Puss and Boots. So get all your minds out of the gutter, all you Shaggy Goose Egg Bois.
It's about a cat, man. Not a...
Other thing.
Yeah, which we're not going to talk about.
But yeah, this is Al Pacino's Prison Scene. This is the last episode of Shrektober. I hope that you have listened to all episodes of Shrektober. We put a lot of hard work and effort into them.
I hope you've noticed, because I'm very tired.
If I'm sounding a little weird, that's because my mustache is muffling my speech.
You
but
kind of look like a turtle a little bit.
But it'll probably fall off at some point during this episode. So if that happens, those of you on the video, pretend like it didn't happen, and those of you on the audio, pretend like it didn't happen. Also,
we'll fix it in post.
Right.
Now, because it's a video, we can say that now.
But yeah, Puss in Boots. What do we do next? I don't remember.
Disregard our crappy set.
I think it's beautiful.
It's gonna look better.
This is top notch. Al Pacino's prison scene. This is what Al Pacino looked like when he was in prison.
This right here?
Yeah, this is what his cell looked like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a
recreation.
What?
I didn't even think about that. Maybe I kind of just... You know how like sometimes movies will have like the same ideas, but they're like, I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Oh, okay.
So yes, Puss in Boots, the final installment in the, what do we call it, Shrekverse?
Well, it's not really, because you have like all the little shorts that are like Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
And then you also have, there's a Puss in Boots TV show on Netflix. That's like...
There's a TV show?
Yeah, but it's set before this movie. I've never seen an episode. I've seen some of the DreamWorks stuff on Netflix. I've never seen the Puss in Boots show. But presumably, those are designed more for kids, whereas this and like the Shrek movies kind of toe the line between kids and adults. But... yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about that. We'll get into it.
But this was the last movie released in the universe of Shrek
until Shrek 5.
Or Puss in Boots 2.
Because
that was announced several years ago and then it has been canceled twice, but is now back on the table, I think.
Oh, okay. All right, well, do your thing.
All right, so recap. All right, I watched this movie earlier today.
As did I.
My brain was a little fried for some reason.
So was mine.
So we'll see how well this goes. But the movie opens in a house, I think, and this cat's asleep, and then it pans over and you see Puss's hat, and then he grabs the hat and you can see he's the furry lover, or the
Friskie Two-Times.
Yeah, Friskie Two-Times,
or Chupacabra,
or Diablo Gato, or the Ginger Hitman,
or Puss in Boots.
Oh yes, of course. But he puts his tail around town, if you know what I'm saying. So
well, I don't know if it's his tail, but yeah,
it's one of his tails.
Oh,
but keep it PG. Yeah, actually, I love that cat, by the way. But anyways, so he's like, he leaves that lady. He's like, I'll never forget you, Margarita, or sorry, whatever your real name was. Yeah, Rosa. I don't remember. And so then he's like, he gives us his tail, and then he's like, then he goes into a town. He goes into the bar, and they're like, you're a cat, and he orders some leche, and then they're like, well, you could rob a bank, or no, you could rob a church. And he's like, I do not rob churches. And then they're like, oh, you could rob an orphanage. And he's like, I do not rob orphanages. But then they say, oh, Jack and Jill has some magic beans. And he's like, magic beans? I've been looking for magic beans my whole life. So he goes to Jack and Jill. And Jack's like, Jill, I want a baby. And Jill's like, no. And then Puss meets this other cat who's wearing like a luchador mask, is what I think it looks like. And he's like, You gonna cut me? Whatever he says. Snap. You gonna snap me? I love that whole exchange.
You're doing a great accent, by the way. Impersonation.
I think it's changing every time.
Yeah.
And then so he gets caught, so he has to run away. But then he follows that masked kitty, and it turns out it's a lady because they have dance fight.
Ooh.
And it's played by Salma Hayek. I don't remember the character's name. Kitty
Softballs.
Yes. And then Kitty is working with Humpty Dumpty, who's an egg, and the puss is
What
like,
is it? He says, Maldito Huevos.
which I looked that up. That means damned egg. So they put a little curse word in there.
Well,
but it was in Spanish.
Mal is the root for like bad.
Yeah. Well, it could be damned or cursed, but I like damned better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Puss in Boots and Humpty Dumpty have a little history that we didn't know about. Because when they were in an orphanage, they were brothers, right? Basically. And then Humpty's like, man, I have a dream that I'm going to steal the beans. And Puss is like, okay, I'll come too. And Humpty's like, no. And Puss is like, yes. And then Humpty's like, okay. So then they have a plan to do that. But then Humpty becomes a bad guy. He's like, I'm going to rob the bank.
Because... Sorry.
I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, like he gets real bad after they're throwing rocks.
Oh, yeah. And Puss like gets boots, and he's a hero.
Yes.
I said the Humpty.
Because Humpty Dumpty throws a rock, and it hits the thing, and a bowl comes out, and he's like, "Rah!"
He's got to save the Commandante's mother.
You saved my mother.
Yes. And then Humpty gets thrown in jail, and Puss runs away, and that brings us up to the present day. But now Humpty's got a plan to get the beans from Jack and Jill. So Puss is like, I don't want to help you, but I will because I also want this. And so then Puss, Kitty Softpaws, and Humpty Dumpty all team up, and they go to Jack and Jill's like wagon, and then they're like, "Man, I'm gonna steal all your things." And Kitty Softpaws is like, "I don't have any claws." And then Puss is like, "Why?" She's like, "I'm not gonna tell you." And then Jack is like, "I want a baby," and Jill's like, "No, you have pigs." And so then then Puss steps on a pig, and then Jack and Jill are like, "Rah!" But then Puss steals all the beans, and then Humpty and Puss and Kitty Softpaws all go off a cliff.
But they fly.
Yes, they fly. Okay, I'm glad you said that because I did not remember what happened.
They fly.
Next. And they fly for a bit because Humpty's apparently Leonardo da Vinci.
And the carriage goes like, whoosh.
Yes. And then they go and plant the beans, and they go up into the beanstalk, but the giant's dead because Jack killed him or something.
Yes.
And then there's this thing called the Great Terror, which guards the golden goose. So they get in, they steal the golden goose.
Which is like a baby goose.
Yes, it's a gosling. And then they run out, and then turns out, oh no, Humpty was bad the whole time, double crosses Puss, and then Puss is being chased by crows. But then somehow Puss makes it back to San Bernardino.
Ricardo.
Yeah. What's San Bernardino?
That's
a city and something.
That sounds...
But...
Is it the place that's in Big Bang Theory?
I don't know. San Ricardo is where he goes to, which I looked up is actually a real prison, interestingly. But, and then he gets there, and Humpty's like...
City in California, San Bernardino. Sorry.
Okay. And then Puss gets there, and Humpty's like, I tricked you! And Puss is like, no, the Great Terror is gonna... Oh, no. Then Puss gets thrown in jail, and he meets Jack. His real name is Andy Beanstalk, apparently.
Beanstalk, yeah. My friends call me Jack.
And he's an old dude who is apparently in prison of his own free will.
But then he, like, goes like that. Yeah, because
he sleeps his hands in and out of the handcuffs. And he's like, that egg has been planning this forever! And then Puss is like, okay.
You gotta stop touching your mustache.
Because it keeps, like, falling off a little bit. Just kidding. It's a real mustache.
He did.
And then Kitty Softpaws breaks him out. Oh, no. Puss does the eyes. And the guard's like, I'll let you out because you're pretty. And then Kitty Softpaws comes in and is like, I saved you. And he's like, you still owe me. And then she saves him again. He's like, oh, I don't owe you anymore. And then he's like, Humpty, the Great Terror is going to come destroy the town. And Humpty's like, yeah, I know. And then Puss is like, well, I got a plan. So then they lead the Great Terror, who's really the mother goose, out of the town to save her baby. And the Puss is like holding Humpty on the bridge because that's how it ended the first time. He's like, I'm not going to drive you this time. And Humpty's like, I know. So then he lets go. And then Puss is like, no!
Well, he's holding a rope that has Humpty Dumpty and also a rope that has the golden goose.
Yes.
And so one of them's going to die. Or he can save both of them.
Well, but if the goose dies, then the Great Terror will destroy San Bernardino.
San Bernardino.
So then Humpty lets go, and he cracks, and apparently he's a gold egg, or maybe he was just dressed as a gold egg.
Who knows?
But, and then the movie ends, and Puss is like, that is the tale of how I became a hero.
And
Kitty Softpaw stole his boots.
But the Commandante is still going after him. The people know that he's a hero, but the law keeps going after him.
So that brings us up to speed. Supposedly, I'm assuming that there's a time gap between this movie and Shrek 2.
Yes.
Because the second movie, as far as I understand it, is supposed to also take place in between this movie and Shrek 2. But also...
Well, so San Ricardo City was a real prison. Is it in Spain? I assume it's in Spain or something.
Well, the city... when I looked up San Ricardo, it said it's a prison in the Philippines.
Okay.
Which is like Asia.
Yeah, Philippines, yeah.
Which doesn't really fit with this, but
no, look at this. Look, this is exactly what the city looked like, pretty much. Look at that. Oh wait, no, that is
that's the movie.
actual. Oh, well, but anyway, it sets it up to be like a part of like our world.
Yes,
which means that all the other movies exist within our world.
I will agree that this movie probably had more humans than the other movies.
Oh, absolutely. But then, like, I have a question of like, is this movie even a part of like the Shrekverse? Right.
Well, it could be because we know like storybooks in this universe exist.
Yeah.
That this movie is like the storybook version of Puss and Boots. And like the real Puss in Boots is not as heroic. Because I was going to ask you.
Well, because he's an outlaw.
Yeah.
In Shrek 2, which is where the timeline is like kind of funky because he was a hero and now he's an outlaw. Or did Shrek 2 kind of take place like in between the beginning and the end of this movie? Like,
well, no, it's been confirmed by like the creators that this is a prequel, like from start to finish.
Okay.
But yeah, Puss is definitely an outlaw in Shrek 2 because he's very disreputable.
Yeah.
But so maybe something happened in between this movie and Shrek 2 that made him lead back to the dark side.
Maybe this is where Puss in Boots 2 comes in.
Yeah.
It's to kind of lead us there. See, what I think is that this is one of Zorro's fever dreams.
Okay.
Because it's still Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
And he plays essentially the same character, except cat version. Because like Zorro goes with his goes,
which he doesn't do in this movie, I don't think.
Well, that's true, but his like money bag has it on there.
Yeah.
So, but he still does that. So I think that this is just a fever dream. I think this is some kind of fantasy fulfilled for Zorro.
Well, I wrote down like a few different things for this movie because I don't think that this has like a clear meaning, but there's several elements throughout that are like repeated that I'm like, there has to be something here, but I don't know what it is.
I think the most prevalent one is that like has to do with like not fate or destiny, but like the choices, the things that happen to you in life and the choices you make after that kind of affect your whole like life. Because we see kind of this dichotomy of like Puss in Boots and Humpty Dumpty, who are both in the same position at the start of this movie, and yet one of them is a hero, and one of them, even though there's redemption, one of them is a bad egg, if we want to use that.
Maldito Huevos.
Yeah. So I think that that's kind of like the difference there.
Well, it's kind of interesting you point that out because I wrote down close to the beginning, because at the beginning of this movie I was getting very much like pirate vibes.
Yeah.
And like,
well, I would say it definitely takes place in that like time era.
So I wrote down that the relationship that Humpty and Puss have is very similar to that of Jack and Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, because Humpty says that that Puss betrayed him, and then like in the Pirates movies, Jack supposedly betrayed Barbossa.
Well, no,
to the first movie,
Barbossa betrayed Jack.
No, but before that,
I thought it was that Jack was the captain of the Black Pearl, and then Barbossa staged a mutiny.
Yeah, that did happen.
Oh no, with the money, with the gold.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Puss in this movie would be Jack, and then Humpty would be Barbossa. But also, your duality statement is interesting because later in the movie they bring up, they say Bean Club, like
Yeah.
nobody talks about Bean Club, which is obviously a reference to Fight Club. And in that movie, for those spoilers for those of you that haven't seen Fight Club, have you seen Fight Club?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm about to say.
Probably.
I mean, but you have seen
Yeah,
it.
I've seen it.
Okay,
So it's not
okay,
going to be
okay.
spoilers.
So in Fight Club, for those of you that haven't seen it and don't care about watching it, because this is a pretty hefty spoiler.
Yeah.
The main character, who apparently doesn't have a name, because I looked it up and they just called the narrator, and Tyler Durden are the same character, but you don't know that.
That's Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Edward Norton and Brad Pitt, but you don't know that throughout the whole movie. But then at the end, you realize that like the narrator and the Tyler Durden was like in the narrator's head.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that. So obviously, Puss and Humpty are separate characters.
Yeah.
But I do think that they still kind of represent the same dichotomy that Tyler Durden and the narrator did in Fight Club. Because in Fight Club, Tyler Durden is like, hey, we got to bomb these people. We got to do all this stuff. And it's like this extreme side of the personality. And then the narrator is this completely other extreme side where he doesn't do anything and he just kind of moves around all day.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not necessarily saying that Puss and Humpty are on those two sides, but they're definitely
But
two
there
sides.
is that shared dichotomy of like kind of like what is happening and how you approach that action,
right?
And after that,
yes.
So I agree with that. Yeah, but that's like the biggest thing, kind of. But then there's also like obviously like redemption and like they throw out lines like you can't run forever in the beginning, and that kind of sets up like what the theme of this movie is really going to be. Like the more present theme on the surface is about redemption, and so then we see like. Because this whole thing is like, I want to clear my name. And
Puss?
Yes, Puss wants to clear his name. But then it even goes further with that, is because like he's set up as this morally like ambiguous character. But then we see like he is, especially at the end, we see that he's okay with not having that redemption and then achieving, safety for his friends or whatever. So he's set up as this morally ambiguous character, but then we see as the movie progresses that he is indeed good.
Now that is also interesting that you bring that up, because this is something that I thought about in the movie. I didn't write it down because I don't think it's a huge theme.
Yeah.
And we also discussed it at length in our Megamind episode, which if you Shaggy Goose Egg Boys haven't checked that one out yet, I think that's one of our better episodes. But we talked about nature versus nurture in that, and like the difference between Megamind and Metro Man. But which interesting, I watched Trolls World Tour the other day, which is also a DreamWorks movie. But I think for some reason DreamWorks really likes this theme of dualism. And obviously in this movie would be Humpty and Puss.
Yeah.
But where I was going before I got derailed by myself was that Puss has an innate heroic quality within him. Because like as you were mentioning in the recap, when Humpty throws the rock, Puss's instincts act. That's what he says when he's telling the story to Kitty Softpaws. He says, my instincts kicked in. And that means that like he has heroic instincts, and just everything he had done up until that point that was malicious was just like Humpty influencing him, because Puss did not really have an identity until he met Humpty Dumpty. Yeah,
and it's, I want to kind of focus on the word instinct that you mentioned, because like, so like cats have instinct, right? They're animals. Sidebar, at the end, Humpty's like, I'm not an animal, I'm not a food, blah, blah, I don't know what I am. So it seems like Humpty Dumpty never makes an action out of instinct. It's always a deliberate choice. And I don't exactly know where I'm going with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned instinct, and it made me think of that Humpty never makes... He always makes a decision, never just acts, and then at the end he brings up, like, I'm not this or that or that. So you say that Puss didn't have a personality when he met Humpty, right? That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
But it may be, like, the opposite way around. That maybe that, like, Humpty is just kind of this null and void, like, character that, like, deliberates action based on the circumstances around him.
Well, and that also might go back to Megamind a little bit. But before I say that, does Humpty ever make it clear why he wants the magic beans?
Well, it was like revenge. Oh, from the beginning.
Yeah. Like as a little kid.
I think it just has to do with like, he says he wants to get out of this place.
And the
like
magic beans will help him do that?
Yeah, because of the golden eggs or whatever.
Because I was thinking at the end, he falls and he cracks and it looks like he is a golden egg.
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking, like, is he originally from that castle?
Oh.
And like,
interesting.
So he had this instinct to find the magic beans because that is where he came from.
To
and
return home.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I don't know if there's anything to that or not, because then also in the credits, if you just let it roll even just a little bit, which I don't know if you watched this on Netflix or not. That's where I watched it.
Yeah.
Then Humpty's in the credits and he's wearing like the gold egg suit.
Yeah.
Which arguably the credits is not a part of the movie, but in the Shrek franchise,
Shrekverse,
they are typically. Because like the first movie, the credits starts during like the "I'm a Believer" song, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that is very much a part of the movie because that's where Shrek and Fiona leave together.
Same way with the second one.
And then I would argue the third and fourth. I don't remember the third.
I think the fourth has one, but it's very short.
Yeah. But so I would say the credits of the Shrek movies tend to be part of the universe. So then that kind of throws a wrench in that a little bit. But going back to Humpty being related to Megamind, in the Megamind episode, which, again, if you didn't watch Shaggy Goose Egg Boys, I'm looking at you. Or listen, I guess. Check it out. It's a pretty good episode, I think. I talk about it a lot. I think.
You do.
But we talked about how Megamind was innately good. But because he was raised in a prison and everyone taught him to be the bad guy, he was just like, well, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
So I think part of that, what you're saying about Humpty, could be because like everyone was picking on him. Because like, he's like he says at the end, he's not a human, he's not a food, he's not an animal. What is he? And so because everyone was picking on him because he's different, he was just like, well, I don't belong here. And I'm going to do everything I can to get out.
Yeah.
But that quote at the end, I think, is important for his character, obviously. But I also wrote down, in order to let others accept you, you must first accept yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is something that is I think
has been prevalent throughout the entire, month of Shrektober. In every movie, Shrek is struggling with this idea.
So I think that's Humpty's number one problem is he could not accept himself for being unique. He felt like he had to fit in a category, but he didn't fit in any category. So then that made him the bad guy.
Yeah. It made him the bad guy, yes.
Because usually most people in real life don't resort to like crime of some sort, especially at a young age, unless it's like the last option.
Yeah, but again, I'll say like Humpty made those choices. Like Puss and Boots could have done the same thing. Well,
but Puss was younger than Humpty, so like he I think for the most part, when Puss gets to the orphanage, one of the first things that happens is Humpty steals his beans. But then the little boy Blue, who is terrifying, by the way. I don't know. Like the
he looks like the do the roar kid.
He does. I don't know what the like actual myth or fairy tale of Little Boy Blue is.
I think he has a trumpet.
But that was a creepy guy. But then Little Boy Blue comes up and starts picking on Puss.
Yeah.
And then Humpty saves him, and then Puss
returns the favor.
Says, even though he took my beans, he stood up for me, and I decided then I would always have his back.
Yeah.
So I think from that point on, Puss kind of latched onto Humpty and like wouldn't leave his side. So then whatever Humpty did, Puss did. And that's where I'm coming from when I'm saying like that Puss got his personality from Humpty until the day when he had to save the Commandante.
So, I mean, maybe Humpty Dumpty. There you go. Humpty Dumpty wasn't even looking for the beans necessarily. He was looking for like
a way out,
companionship of some sort. Because when we see them together, I mean, there are definitely scenes where they're doing bean stuff. But then we also see them not doing bean stuff.
Don't do bean stuff,
Don't
kids.
do bean stuff. You'll become a bad egg.
Maldito Huevos.
But then we also see them doing not bean stuff. So finally, there is something that, you know, it's kind of like whenever somebody goes through a breakup, a lot of the time it's like, oh, find something to focus on because you're sad and you don't want to think about it. And so like maybe like Humpty Dumpty was always sad, so he focused on his beans to not be sad. And then when Puss and Boots came along, well, all he had known was bean stuff, so he kept doing that. But then slowly, since he had this companionship, he didn't need bean stuff as much.
I got you. And I mean, and that does make sense. But speaking of bean stuff, so they say, which again, this is obviously just a reference to Fight Club, but they say rule 1 of Bean Club, better out than in. I always say, rule 1 of Bean Club is don't talk about Bean Club.
Don't talk about bean.
But then later in the movie, I think it's Humpty says, remember when everyone was laughing at us about Bean Club?
Yeah.
Which, if everyone's laughing at them because of Bean Club, that means somebody talked about Bean Club.
And there's only 2 people in
So,
Bean Club.
Think about that, Shaggy Goose Egg Bois.
Think about that.
But you said that you think that Humpty was searching for companionship.
Yeah.
And I think I can agree with him needing to fill some, like, to find distraction and so that he wouldn't be sad. But I don't necessarily know if he was looking for companionship, because when he's first telling Puss about the beans and they're like laying under the tree looking up at the sky, he's like, "This is my destiny, Puss." And then Puss look, and then he's like, "But I don't need any help. I don't want. If you came along, you would just be dead weight."
Yeah, but I mean that's a classic line that somebody's going through something like that would say.
Why?
Well, because if they've always been alone and they've been surviving fine, then why do they need somebody else? Like, I just watched Paranorman, and like, have you seen that?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I can't think of another example, but like, if all they've ever known is being alone, and like people like leaving or whatever, or not wanting to do with them, that kind of sets up this like Pavlovian like kind of like training, this classical conditioning where like, if they get too close to anybody, they're just going to leave them. So I'm just not going to get close to anybody. And it's been working out fine for me now. So why change that? If it's working, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but in addition to that, I noted that later in the movie, even though Humpty says that then, later in the movie, which is like present day, he tells Puss that he needs him or the mission won't work. Which,
well, I mean, that's all. That's all of that is just trying to get him to do this so we can double cross him.
I know. But it's interesting to note that in the beginning he's like, "I don't need you, it's dead weight," and now he's saying, "I need you."
Yeah.
Then I was also thinking like, there's never anything that happens, I don't think, which I know obviously this is all part of his grand scheme.
Yeah.
But there's never anything that happens that like he actually needed Puss for.
I'm trying to think.
Like as far as getting into the
I think that's true.
And everything. The only thing would maybe be when they use the champagne bottle.
Well, he said revenge.
Who?
Humpty? Humpty did say revenge.
What do you mean?
Well, because like at the end, Humpty was like, "I got my." Puss and Boots was like, "What are you seeking?" or something like that, and Humpty was like, "Revenge." And so then that revenge on Puss for like leaving him.
Yeah, no, and I do get that, but I was just thinking it's interesting that because usually in the movie where like there's this heist scenario, there would like ultimately the goal would be double cross, but there would actually be a reason why that he would need the main character, in this case Puss.
He has claws. Kitty Softball does not have claws.
Okay, that could work. Although she was gonna pick it with her little sword.
Oh yeah,
her sword.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's interesting though.
What?
Because it must have been pure like malicious revenge. Because there's nothing like the only reason that Jack and Jill were like fighting against Puss was to double cross or for Humpty to double cross him. But they could have just done it without.
Yeah, because Humpty had the beans to begin with.
Yeah.
So that it goes to there's some ogre right there. You can't see it, but there's ogre on the desk.
There's ogre everywhere.
Uh-oh. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, right?
Humpty Dumpty never sat on the wall in this movie, as far as I can tell.
Nope. But
he did have a great fall.
He did.
And he broke into pieces, and the king's men couldn't put him back together again.
He was
but the Great Terror just picked him up and flew away.
That's the real song. That's how the real song goes. I was going to say something in response. Oh, why do you think Kitty Softpaws was at Jack and Jill's place in the beginning?
To use her womanly body to seduce Puss in Boots.
Because presumably, like in the first one, which I had seen this before, but I had forgotten basically everything about it.
Yes.
Except I knew Humpty Dumpty was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember like that everything was part of his plan. Which, did you realize that Jack was Billy Bob Thornton?
I did not know that.
Because I was watching it and I was like, this guy sounds like someone that was in a Coen Brothers movie. I couldn't figure out who it was. But then I was like, oh my God, it's Billy Bob Thornton. So that kind of blew my mind. But
what was he in?
The Man Who Wasn't There. Did you watch that one? He's Ed Crane.
You're right. I did my thing on it. I should have remembered that.
Yeah, you should have.
So she was there to lure Puss and Boots
back to Humpty,
right?
But okay, so how did? Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, how did Humpty know that Puss was gonna be there? But the guys at the bar were in on Puss's thing.
Yeah.
So okay.
Because he was in the back.
Dang, he really thought of everything. He's one smart cookie.
One smart egg.
He's a Maldito Huevos.
What's the Spanish word for? Oh wait, I was gonna.
Smart?
No, cookie.
Huevos.
No, that's egg.
So the other theme, I don't even know if we've actually laid out an actual theme yet.
I mean, I said something at the beginning.
I think the fact that Jack and Jill talk about being parents so much in this movie.
Galleta Intelligente.
Wash your hands, kids.
Galleta Intelligente.
There you go.
Galleta Intelligente.
Please do not do that again.
Hold on, let's do, what is it? Bad egg?
Maldito Huevos?
No, damned egg.
Maldito Huevos.
Maldito Huevo.
Why was she so, maldito? Did you hear that?
Yeah, because it's damned.
Maldito.
Maldito Huevo.
But,
okay, sorry.
What was I saying? Oh, Jack and Jill sat on a hill and fetched a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and then he went to the upside down.
I always
Demogorgon! Sorry.
I always thought
they were brother and sister. I think they are in the original fairy tale, which they arguably could still. They arguably could still
be. Because in the Adam Sandler one,
they are
brother and sister.
With the Dunkachino!
Dunkachino.
Sorry if I just blew out your speakers. But they could still be.
And
that's why she doesn't. That's why she doesn't want to have kids, because they're brother and sister.
The rhyme is related to a story in the 13th century Icelandic Gylfaginning, which is a brother and sister, Shuki and Bill. So yeah.
So maybe that's why she doesn't want to have kids with him, because it would be incestuous.
Maybe.
But what I was gonna say is that I don't know what the theme is related to that, but the fact that Jack and Jill, almost literally every time we see them, they're talking about having a baby or being a parent. I feel like that thematically has to be something that the writers were going for. And I mean, yes, it is funny, but DreamWorks, I think they get a little more credit, especially after this month. So I think that's smart.
That is symbolically, not. It's a symbolically parallel to the beans
How?
because the beans create life.
Okay. But
Your mustache just got puffed.
oh,
$5.
I'm going bald.
Anybody want this? $5.
But I wrote down because I didn't really have time to think about it, and also I don't know if I would have if I did have
Think
time.
about it.
But I wrote down the actual parents in the movie to try to delineate some meaning from that. So I did write down Jack and Jill. Obviously, they're not real parents, but they're the ones that like kind of started this ball rolling. You have Imelda, who is the orphanage lady for Puss and the egg. What's his name? Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
You have the goose, the Great Terror,
Great Terror.
because she comes in to protect her baby. And then you have the Commandante's mother, who Puss saved, and that's what earns him his good grace. So, I don't know exactly how all that adds together, but I think somehow it does.
Let's see. I want to see what does.
Melda, I looked that up. It means warrior woman or powerful fighter. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it
You
means.
Sure. What? Oh, there's in Hebrew.
Well, we're not Hebrew. We're Hispanic. Puss is Hispanic, not me.
So, at its root. So if we
This
take
mustache
it,
is going to make me sneeze at some point.
if we take it back all the way to its original roots, it means a universal battle.
For what? The beans?
Our parents' approval.
So beans. Okay. When a mommy loves a daddy and they,
beans. The more you eat,
the more you fart.
beans. The more you eat, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you fart. How does it go?
Something about good for your heart.
Beans.
All right.
Oh, beans. Magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So let's see beans with every meal.
I've never heard that version. But when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, they
Shaboinga.
and that is called planting the seed in some people. And you planted the beans, as Jake pointed out, in this movie,
And life.
and life sprouted. But what did that lead them to? The eggs, which is arguably what they wanted, but then Puss gets double crossed.
And eggs equal life.
So
And then Humpty is an egg who dies. So it's about the cyclical nature of life.
well, I wrote down, so this kind of goes back to mom and dad, and this is kind of a detour. The movie, not your parents. This is kind of a detour from what we were talking about just now, but at some point, Jack says, "Our biological clocks are ticking, darling. You've got to start looking at the big picture." So in relation to that, I wrote down that maybe, and I don't know if we mentioned this to mom and dad or not, but I wrote down that maybe once you reach a certain age, your sense of purpose begins to wane, and the only way to renew that purpose is to have kids.
We're talking about, and Mom and Dad is that quote.
What? No. That's a quote that Jack says
Oh, okay.
in this movie. Because I had the captions on, so like some of the stuff you can't really hear.
Yeah.
But it tells him saying it. That quote, he says, "Our biological clocks are ticking, darling. You've got to start looking at the big picture." Which is kind of like legacy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I saw where you were going. I was thinking planned obsolescence from that. Is what I thought was where I thought.
Oh no, I didn't have anywhere to go with it. I was just thinking.
Well, that's the cyclical nature of life. Still,
but I just said that's like about legacy, I guess, which actually I think fits with Puss's arc in this movie, because his whole goal, he says at some point, the only wish that I have is to repay an old debt. So and arguably that means him paying back San Bernardino, because he feels bad. But really, what it's about is he feels bad because he's got a bad reputation now, and he wants to clear his name.
Well, I don't think it's that he has a bad. I think he has a bad reputation. He wants to get rid of that, but I don't think that's what bothers him. I think he let Imelda down, and that's what bothers him. Because it's like the thing when your parents say, "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed." I didn't like that. I couldn't see your lips moving. I just saw the mustache.
That's how Cheech cries.
Is that real?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
You know, he's a hyena in The Lion King.
I did know that.
And Chong was supposed to be the Ed, but he wanted to make him dumb, like different, so they'd make Ed just be like.
You're talking about the original one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought you were talking about. What was I saying? Oh, he doesn't care about disappointed. He
He's disappointed Imelda. The
yes.
mustache is going in my mouth.
He wants to redeem himself in the eyes of his mother or his adoptive mother.
Okay, I do agree with that, but that just like torches my whole thing about legacy that I was about trying to delineate. But that's okay.
Well, let's hear it because I don't.
Well, because if it's not in the movie, then that's not what the movie's about. So I think you just proved me wrong.
Well, I mean, I think it's about legacy still.
Well, but it's not about him trying to make his legacy better.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Okay, because his goal is not to clear his name. His goal is, I made my mama disappointed.
Right.
Because the boots stand for honor.
Yeah.
And something else. I wrote it down. Where is it? Uh-oh.
Keep on swimming, swimming, swimming.
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, the boots stand for honor.
Out than in. I thought you were going to say it.
The boots stand for honor. So, yeah, he needs to get that honor back.
Yeah.
Because he disgraced the boots.
Bush. In boots. I was going to say something else about honor, but I forgot what it was. Or like disappointment.
Well, we'll come back to it probably if you think about it.
Okay.
But I want to talk about Andy.
I'm always thinking about it.
I want to talk about Andy Beanstalk for a bit.
Okay.
His friends call him Jack.
Who character model wise looks exactly like Merlin.
Oh, from the other one?
Yeah.
From Shrek the Third?
Yeah.
Whammy Zammy! Because he talks about how he got put in jail because he stole a cow, but he thought it was his family's cow, but it was someone else's cow.
No.
And he says, always know which cow is yours. Which philosophically, I don't really know what that means exactly.
Let's see.
But I like it.
Always.
So, always know which cow is yours. But the reason I bring that up is because this is a story about wrongful imprisonment and misunderstanding. So, even though Jack or Andy Beanstalk actually stole a cow, he didn't know he was stealing a cow. He thought it was his family's cow. So, should he be in prison? Arguably yes, but also arguably no, because he didn't intend to steal. And then Puss, it's kind of like the same thing. Even though he wasn't actually in on the thievery, he did not intend to steal money from the bank. He thought he was helping his friend, whereas his friend double-crossed him and his friend stole money from the bank. So this whole story is about Puss trying to take that back, right? Or is that what we disproved?
Say it again.
I don't know what I just said.
Is about Puss clearing his name so that his mama is no longer disappointed in him, restoring his honor.
Okay, and then Humpty actually did steal, but it was because everyone treated him the way that they did.
Yeah,
and they misunderstood him. So it's still about misunderstanding for that guy. Are you looking up something?
Well, I looked up, make sure you know which cow is yours or whatever, and a song called Cows Around by Corb Lund popped up, and I looked at the lyrics, and it says, everything is better with some cows around. Living in town sometimes brings me down. You won't know what you're missing till you hear that sound. May you always have cows around. There's also a verse where it's literally, what kind of cows? Well, there's Hereford, Highland, Simmental, Welsh Black, and Maine Anjou. Chianina, Limousine, Shorthorn, Cherilai, Watusi, 2 Texas Longhorn, Corriente, Romagnola, Galloway, Angus, Brahma, Brangus, Jersey, Guernsey, Holstein. Hey,
What is happening?
I don't know. It's a song. He's literally just naming the types of cows. Sorry,
Those sound like the ogre names in Shrek Forever After.
Brogan. Back to Puss and Boots. Sorry.
Whoa. I don't know if I have anything else.
What were you talking about?
Honestly.
I was looking at cows.
Better out than in, I always say. This is going downhill real fast. Okay,
So loud.
so what I was talking about earlier was Andy Beanstalk and how like he stole his family's cow, but it wasn't really his family's cow.
What I thought when you said that was like, make sure to count your chickens or whatever.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like let's say you're in a football game and you only got a minute left and you're up by 100. Well, don't say you've
that's
won.
a lot of points.
Well, let's say you're only up by a touchdown, but you're already celebrating that you won. Don't do that because who knows? Maybe they get ahead of you.
All right, in the original story, is Jack
Of
and the Beanstalk, is
Okay.
Jack stealing the cow to make his family better to get the beans, or does he just want the beans?
I thought he took the cow to get sold so they have money, but he traded them for beans. instead.
Okay. So
I
Jack-
think what he's saying is that he accidentally took the wrong cow.
no, yeah, that is what happened in the
Oh.
movie.
Okay.
But so what I think this boils down to is intent. And so in the original story, Jack's intent was to provide for his family.
Yeah.
And although it was misguided because you can sell the cow or you can keep the cow and make cheese and stuff,
Right.
like you can teach a man to fish or you can give him a fish or whatever that saying
Yeah.
is.
Well, the problem
Fishing. What?
was they didn't have money to feed the cow, so the cow wasn't producing milk.
Oh. Well, so his intent was good,
Science rules.
which in this movie I would argue it was also good but it ended up being real bad because he stole someone else's cow. Which actually isn't Jack supposed to be like a kid? He says he got 8 to 10. There's no way. He's just like an old man now.
He rotting away, man.
See, I think I'm pretty sure in this movie Jack was just like staying there. Which
Yes,
even though
I think so too.
even though he like
I think
runs
so, too.
out whenever Kitty's there because he was like. Floop, floop, floop.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then you have Humpty.
Which timeout 8 to 10 for stealing a cow. That's a long time.
Well, this is fairy tale world.
Is it?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Because they're in like the Philippines.
Nope. They're in close to here. It's the opposite of far
Better
away.
out than in.
But so I think it boils down to intent, and then Humpty's intent was to steal the money, but Puss's intent was to save his friend.
You look like buff, like Mario or something. Sorry, I just thought about
Whoa!
that.
What was it?
What was-
Mamma Mia!
It's a me, Mario.
Yeah, I
Puss
don't
and
know.
Boots.
Oh yeah, Puss's intent is to help his friend, but his friend's intent was to steal the money, and that because of that misunderstanding, they both get in trouble for it.
Yes.
So
And Humpty Dumpty rots away.
have good intentions, and also be careful who you associate with, because the Commandante says that to Puss at one point.
Yes. Maybe. So if we think of, because they obviously age exists,
What?
and they
What do you
say,
mean?
well,
Like people getting older?
yeah, and like
Death is coming for us all.
you're just having a great time with the camera set.
I think I'm having a stroke.
Do you smell toast?
No, but I've been smelling a lot of different things this week that Zach says aren't there. Zach is my roommate. Hi, Zach.
Zach was my roommate.
No, he's not.
Bye, Zach. I said was.
Well, he also was my roommate.
Yeah, but he is your. Zach was my roommate. Bye, Zach. But like, how long does it take for eggs to go rotten?
Less than 8 to 10 years.
I would say a very short amount of time. So maybe.
It's because he's a golden egg, so he doesn't.
Well, if you would shut up and let me finish what I'm gonna say.
Nope.
Your mustache popped off. I saw that when you went like, ooh.
No, it didn't.
I'm thinking that maybe it's like a pearl kind of thing. You know how like over time and like pressure and like a pearl pops out.
Oh.
I think that Humpty Dumpty has been alive for so long that his yolk turned into gold.
Okay.
That's what I think.
So what does that mean metaphorically? You're better on the inside?
Yep.
So on the inside is what counts.
Yes.
Because Puss even says, he says something like, I always knew you were a good egg.
He does, right at the end when he turns golden. He's like, I always knew you were a good egg.
On the inside.
On the inside.
Yep.
What's that song?
On the outside, looking in.
No. Is it Drive?
Circle backwards.
Is that
Come on, drive a little. Nothing is forever. This is just a drive-by.
Is that the one I always say wrong? Is that how I say it?
Yeah.
No, what's the one where it's like, oh, it's the Goo Goo Dolls. Iris, or whatever it's called.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that one.
Hold on.
Speaking of songs, though, did you notice that there wasn't any?
It's all original score.
Except at the end, Lady Gaga.
Oh, here. This is Humpty Dumpty's theme song.
Sat on a wall.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand.
Oh.
When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
That's the Goo Goo Dolls?
Yes.
I always assumed they were girls.
No, they're all guys.
Well, they need to change their name.
You must have never seen a Goo Goo.
To the Boo Boo Boys.
Okay. Boo Boo Boys.
Right. I don't know if I have anything else. I really feel like I would scratch me a lot. This episode. You got anything?
The Boo Boo Boys are back. What is this? What is that?
They're back. It's from Vampirina.
Oh.
My cousin likes that show.
The Boo Boo Boys are. What are you doing?
I'm losing it.
Why? Is it the glue that you're smelling?
No, it's just. I mean, it's at that point in the semester.
Yeah, it is. Dude, this past project. We're still talking about film.
No, we're on Puss and Boots. Tell me about that later. You got anything else?
The Giant's Castle represents the ability to achieve redemption.
All right, that's it. That's what this movie's about. The movie Puss in Boots is about the Giant's Castle is representative of redemption, or whatever Jake just said.
The townfolk are greedy bastards.
Because they all want the eggs?
They all want the egg, and they're all carrying one around. Like, why are you doing that?
Which, okay, also, it's like when they're in the castle, the egg is like really hard to pick up.
Yeah.
But then once they're there, he's just like, here you go. And everyone's like, yay.
Movie magic. Well, no. You know what it is? The air is thinner, so it takes more effort to lift up an egg.
But he said the air pressure was normal inside the castle.
No.
He did. He said that.
The air pressure, maybe, but not the density.
Then why were their voices back to normal?
You're thinking too much. Just let the science do it. It's in the math.
No, I'm thinking about science.
It's
You're
in the
just
math.
making stuff up.
It's in the math. It's in the math.
Yes or no? Me or him? Me or him?
For what?
Me or him? Let us know. Me or him? All right, so I do have a question for you.
Okay.
If we're done, I don't know if we're done.
I'm not. You keep going on tangents. I'm trying to get through my minuscule notes.
All right. What do you think he means when he says it ain't over easy?
It's an egg, bro. It's an
I
egg
know.
joke.
But he says, do you know what they do to eggs in San Bernardino prison? It ain't over easy.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. It ain't pretty. I think it's the because
Well, like-
over easy is like the
Yeah, but they didn't cook him, obviously. He's a golden egg.
Oh, over easy eggs are like the good looking egg.
Don't drop the soap.
So that's why.
That's what I think it is. It's
Dude,
a
he
joke
has
about that
he
somehow.
has genitalia. Because when he's wearing the golden costume, the egg costume.
Is there a bulge?
No, but he says like
There's Everything's rubbing and bumping
together,
or
right?
whatever.
Yeah.
All right, give me your
He's
stuff.
got egg balls.
Give me your stuff. I'll stop when you start talking. Go.
So here's what I want to point out: that Humpty Dumpty gets his redemption. So does Kitty Softballs.
But Puss does not.
Puss and
Puss and Butts
doesn't really. Like the goal was to clear his name, right? Now, arguably the real goal was to make his mama proud, which he does. But the goal that is set up in the
He
beginning
had to earn
is
his boots.
well, to clear his name, and he does not clear his name. So Puss in Boots does not achieve his goal in this movie.
So legacy doesn't matter. As long as you believe in yourself and mama loves you.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
What was that? Oh, your suspender.
Don't look at me!
I'm too far away. I can't cover you.
Okay. That didn't happen.
Your mustache is going on real bad too. So the cat that goes,
Oh.
My favorite part in the Shrek
The Frex franchise.
the Shrek franchise is the ooh.
Oh no. Baba. That's pretty good. What about who's the guy? Is that not
Oh
the top
yeah,
one?
I there's so many good little Baba. Oh my god. Ooh.
Happy Halloween.
Which so I wonder because so I would say this is a pretty meta film.
Where are we at? Okay.
we got time. I would say this is a pretty meta film because this is the last thing that DreamWorks has released for the Shrekverse, right?
Well, aside from the TV show.
That doesn't count.
And probably some of the shorts and stuff. Those totally do count. I love those things, dog.
Okay, well, it's the last movie.
Yes.
And so this movie's good. I think it has
I was just showing them.
I think it has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And I think this movie's great. So I was going to say that this is Puss's redemption is the Shrekverse redemption. It is the DreamWorks Shrekverse movie redemption. Does that make sense?
What? No.
So as Puss is redeemed, so is
the franchise?
Yes.
Oh, that's a very short window. All right, are you done?
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
I think so.
Okay, because I was gonna say this
Baba.
era is the year this came out and Shrek Forever After
2011, right?
Yeah.
This year.
And the year before, which I guess would be 2009. I think is DreamWorks' golden age for me.
What is?
So recently,
Kung Fu Panda. When was that?
All right, well, recent movies are Trolls World Tour, which I watched last night, and it's not bad, but it's not as good as any of these that we've. Well, maybe it's probably better than Shrek the Third, but the pacing was really quick. I wasn't a huge fan. I like the message. I don't want to talk about it, so please don't tell us to talk about it.
Think about it.
Like that, and then obviously, this isn't obvious to you probably, but I love The Boss Baby. Most people did not like that movie. Captain Underpants, I also really like that movie. That's pretty recent. But from 2009 to 2011, these movies came out.
Kung Fu Panda was in it too. Was in 2008.
Yeah, that's 2008.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, the only reason I don't do that is because Madagascar 2 came out in 2008, and I'm not a huge fan of that one.
We'll count. Okay, I will accept Kung Fu Panda 2 because Kung Fu Panda 2 is really cool because he goes.
Well, Kung Fu Panda 2 is 2011.
Yeah, well,
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Starting in 2009 is Monsters vs. Aliens. Then it's How to Train Your Dragon.
Susan!
Shrek Forever After. Megamind. Kung Fu Panda 2. And then Puss in Boots. And Puss in Boots is a movie that I had seen before. I didn't remember much about. But this movie was more like I've wrote down atmospherically. I think this might be better than any of the Shrek movies.
Well, and the comedy on this is like has perfect timing.
Yes.
Especially because they set up, where there's like several frames on the screen or whatever. However you want to say that.
Oh yeah. I think
And
that was
then-
like calling back to samurai movies and like Western movies.
Okay, I can see that. But then there's one where it's him and then the bird, and they're in separate boxes.
Oh yeah.
But then it goes away and he's
they're
right
together.
next to him.
But so I think this era,
Ooh.
which is like mid from DreamWorks launch to now, is like the middle
Yeah.
years, is when DreamWorks had the most heart in their movies, and like most not talent, but the most the person behind it was like yes, I'm gonna do this, whatever that word is, because like I love all the movies that came out in those 2 or 3 years. But I read that like Megamind and Monsters vs. Aliens, which are two of my favorites of DreamWorks.
Susan.
They didn't make a ton of money, and so whoever was the head, I don't know if it was Jeffrey Katzenberg at this point or not, but he was like, "Yeah, we're not going to make more movies like that are like genre spoofs," which I think sucks because I love those too. But I mean, obviously things at the beginning were pretty good also. But I think those few years for me is like. But
Anything else?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. How do we close off?
Poots and Boots. Poots and Butts. I don't know. You gotta.
All right, guys. We hope that you've enjoyed Shrektober. We put a lot of effort into this.
And if you watched this on YouTube, first of all, why did you watch the whole thing? And second of all, I hope you enjoyed watching me lose my mind. I don't know if it was slowly or if it happened immediately.
Who's
but
the gay? Are you done interrupting me?
Probably not.
Okay, we'll keep going.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything right now. But I'm just saying it'll probably happen again.
Oh, okay. We hope you guys have enjoyed Shrektober. We put a lot of effort into this. I'm tired. We're gonna have to take a break for a week because I can't. I gotta.
We gotta pump them out.
So #Shrektober on all your platforms.
Well, this is the last day though. It's Halloween.
#Shrektober. Ooh, send us your Halloween costumes, whatever they are,
with the hashtag Shrektober.
Anywhere, as a matter of fact, even anywhere you post your costumes, #Shrektober.
Even if you send us an email,
and we'll look out for it.
Say #Shrektober. I'm not going to read it.
We will give you a personal think about it.
Oh, we got to rate the movie on explosions, but nobody exploded.
I think
Humpty cracked, but nobody exploded.
I guess you weren't done interrupting me.
I told you it was going to happen again, but we're supposed to do that first. This will probably what did we give Shrek 3? I think this is right under that.
Like
0.75?
No.
Was that Shrek 3?
Maybe.
I think 0.25 maybe because he cracks.
I gotta give it a 0.15.
I don't know. This is without a doubt probably the lowest scored.
So we'll call it a 0.2.
Okay.
Call it a 0.2. 0.2 out of 5. Dang, this movie sucks.
On the ready or not scale.
On the ready or not scale. Have we ever established what that is?
No, but they know.
Okay.
You know.
Do they? You know. Back to what I was saying. Send us your costumes. Let us know if you like Shrektober. Let us know if you want us to do more stuff like this. Like,
did you like the video? Do you have any ideas for what would make it better? If you do, keep it to yourself, because I don't care.
This is how we do things. Who's behind the camera? Not you.
Who's the guy?
We are.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was.
Better opt it in. All right. Sorry, continue.
#Shrektober.
You know what? I hope. All right, if you're listening to this and you didn't watch the video, Just watch like the last couple minutes of the video. Don't start at the
Probably
beginning.
the last 20 minutes.
Because honestly, I don't even remember what we talked about at the beginning. But this is probably more entertaining.
Hashtag Shrektober. From our extremely cool and loyal podcast community. $10 to anybody who gets that reference. None of you will, guarantee you.
I don't get that reference.
I know you don't.
So looks like I'm not getting $10.
No, you're not. Pacino Pod on Twitter.
At Pacino Pod.
At Pacino Pod on Twitter.
Also, if you know Al Pacino, tell him to hit us up.
Or you can email us pacinopodcast@gmail.com.
Okay.
Stout and sauerkraut.
Oh, there was something I was going to say. So, this is released on October 31st. The next couple of episodes will be a little anachronistic. If you don't know what that word means, get yourself a dictionary.
I don't know what that means.
But if you can tell me, if you can either email us or tweet us the order in which Jake and I recorded these episodes, up until this episode, I will mail you your very own Shaggy Goose Egg boy or girl, no matter where you live. But only the first person. Well, they'll find out when they get in the mail. So the first person that sends us a tweet or an email telling us the order in which we recorded these episodes, ending with this episode.
I don't think you used that word right.
I'll mail you a Shaggy Goose Egg boy or girl.
Oh, never mind. Okay, no, you used it right.
So that's done.
No, they're all Shaggy Goose Egg boys. It's not a.
No, but I'm gonna mail them a Shaggy Goose Egg boy or girl.
Yeah, but Shaggy Goose Egg boy is genderless.
I gotta keep it a mystery.
But it's genderless.
That's our mystery box. You can either get a Shaggy Goose Egg boy or a girl, and how you distinguish them, you'll find out when it comes in the mail.
Stout sauerkraut?
Stout and sauerkraut. Stout sauerkraut!
Oh, I gotta stop this. I forgot.